Now the floor is given to Colonel Dmytro Hutsulyak, Ministry of Defense of Ukraine spokesperson. Good afternoon, everyone. Now to your attention is the information about the events at the front line in the Joint Forces Operation Zone during the last 24 hours on the 14th of May and as of today, the 15th of May. During the last 24 hours, the situation at the front line remained the same. The militants of occupation administrations of Russian Federation continued launch shelling on positions of joint forces with weapons caliber which are prohibited by the Minsk agreements. Our defenders carry out active defense, provide proper rebuff to the enemy. This in Lugansk sector during the last 24 hours on the 14th of May, 17 precision enemy shellings were recorded, banned by the Minsk agreements. 120mm mortars as well as 82mm mortars were used by the militants repeatedly against our positions in the region of Znaytsevo, Zalizna, Zolote and Troitska. Provocative shellings from IFV weaponry, grenade launchers of different types and large caliber machine guns were recorded near Katerinivka, Novozvanivka, Zaytsevo, Lugansk, Svetlodarsk, Zalizna and Krymska. On the whole, during the last 24 hours, the enemy launched at our defense positions in Lugansk sector more than 90 mines from 120 and 82mm mortars. Our defenders several times returned fire using service infantry weapons and provided adequate response to the enemy. In the Donetsk sector during the last 24 hours, the militants of occupation administrations of Russian Federation delivered 25 provocative precision shellings. In this sector, the enemy mainly actively used against our defenders grenade launchers of different types, large caliber machine guns and small arms. Provocative enemy shellings were recorded near Peski, Vodyane, Pishevik, Gnutave, Marienka, Avdiivka, Talakivka, Opetne, Lebedinske, Shirokina, and against the defenders of Butivka mine. Moreover, starting from midnight, defenders of Piski recorded on their positions bursts of several enemy mines from 82mm mortar. On the whole, during the last 24 hours on the 14th of May, 42 precision shellings of defense positions of the units of joint forces were recorded, including 11 times militants of occupation administrations of Russian Federation used heavy weapons. In order to preserve lives and health of military personnel, our defenders more than 20 times returned fire using grenade launchers and small arms. We should note that in the result of shellings delivered by Russian occupation forces during 14th of May, no defender was injured. And now about current situation today on the 15th of May. Starting from midnight, militants of occupation administrations of Russian Federation delivered 11 precision shellings. At night, the occupants launched several mines from 82mm mortars against defenders of Novgorodsk. The rest of the shellings, enemy delivered fire with the grenade launchers and small arms. Provocative enemy shelling was recorded near Katerinovka, Talakivka, Gnutava, Vodyane, and 5 times near Shirokine. Starting this 24 hours on the 15th of May, no Ukrainian serviceman was injured. And the situation at the front line remains tense, but fully under control of our defenders, the units of joint forces. According to the information provided by the main intelligence department of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, Command of Armed Forces of Russian Federation reinforced control over activity of occupation forces and units and large units of so-called 1st and 2nd Army Corps of Russian occupation forces. This new complex commission of headquarters of 8th Army of Southern Military District of Armed Forces of Russian Federation started its work that carries out comprehensive verification of current affairs, including the manning of units of occupants. To increase militarization in the temporarily occupied territories of the Donetsk and Lugansk Oblast and to involve local residents in illegal actions, Russian command built up propaganda measures concerning military service in the occupation forces. At that, they significantly increased the number of actions to spread propaganda materials, leaflets and announcements in the streets of occupied occupied settlements and information addresses in the course of TV and radio broadcasting of mass media controlled by the occupation power. Now about other important news. Today, on the 15th of May, Minister of Defense of Ukraine, General of the Army of Ukraine, Stepan Poltorak, awarded ministerial awards and monetary remunerations to 30 servicemen of 79th Detached Air Assault Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, who recently returned from Germany, where they took part in multinational exercises Combined Resolve and demonstrated the best results in difficult tasks. As the minister stated in the course of the ceremony, these servicemen can be entrusted with the most difficult tasks that need a non-standard approach. Experience that they got in the ATO zone and experience of commanders of the units show that servicemen of the armed forces of Ukraine are able to defend our country. You demonstrated to the whole world that Ukrainian servicemen are brave and the best warriors in the world who can brilliantly fight and learn. It was stated by Minister of Defense of Ukraine, Stepan Poltorak. On the whole, according to results of multinational training in the Resolve, by decision of the Minister of Defense, 101 servicemen of 95th and 79th Detached Air Assault and 14th Detached Mechanized Brigade were awarded. The Ministry of Defense of Ukraine carry out intensive work in order to procure services and works to build hostels for contract servicemen. As of May 2018, they started procurement for construction of 178 construction objects and 3 tenders on 160 objects were carried out and 37 agreements for further construction works were concluded. To verify the tenders for procurement, and they created 2 mobile groups by the decision of the Minister of Defense of Ukraine, Stepan Poltorak. These mobile groups include experienced lawyers and military policemen, audit and main inspection of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, and they will check tender procedures. And according to the results of the work of the group, the relevant decisions will be made, and those responsible for tenders in case of violations will be brought to responsibility. And press center. And lastly, I would like to say that in Novgorod-Volhynsky, in Zhytomyrsky Oblast, Deputy Minister of Defense, Major General Oleg Shevchuk inspected military compound where they started the first stage of construction of hostels for servicemen who serve under contract, and they will introduce into operation 184 residential facilities. This is done in the framework of the complex project with the budget of 2.6 billion hryvnias. In Novgorod-Volhynsky, they will build 7 hostels for contract servicemen who serve in military units of garrison. According to this, they will provide housing in 210 days, and the working group of the ministry inspected several construction sites, and they held constructive talks with representatives of construction organizations in Lviv and Brodsky garrisons, and in 184 training center of National Academy of Land Forces working group of the Ministry of Defense got information about implementation of the project of current construction of premises for military personnel, represented by head of Academy of General Lieutenant Pavlo Tkachuk, and it was noted that the improvement of living conditions of private sergeants and teachers is a priority task. Deputy Minister of Defense, Major General Oleg Shevchuk, stated that responsible officials of the Defense Ministry will carry out technical oversight over construction in order that is established by law, and at first facility, Novgorod-Volensky, they have seen the delay in implementation of the project, and the representatives of the developer said that they will catch up. And this project of implementation of these projects, for the first time the ministry provided for the first time the ministry introduced strict adherence to the terms of implementation of construction works, and to establish those who are responsible for the disruptions. And Major General Oleg Shevchuk stated that the Ministry of Defense do not want to deal with unfinished buildings. There is a calendar year, and all works should be done within this year. And that's why in the tender contract we introduced a number of points, non-implementation of which can lead to the imposition of fines. This was stated by the Deputy Minister of Defense of Ukraine. Thank you.